Hello, everybody. My name is Roaparafoxy, and welcome back. So, today we are doing another episode of the Best Way to Get series, which is where we take three methods and just see which one's the best. And today, the item of the day is emeralds. So, emeralds are one of those materials that you need a lot of for one very specific purpose. It's villagers. Since they nerfed raid farms, there's really no good way to get massive quantities of emeralds. I mean, look, you'll still get more than you need with most of these methods, but not as good as it used to be. So I want to test three new methods today and just, well, see which one gets the best amount of emeralds. And of course, you know what we're starting with, mining. So let's get right into it. Yippee! Okay, hello everybody. So we are at our first location. And you may get that we're doing something a little different, but I'm going to let myself explain that over the video because honestly, I don't think this is going to go very well. But the first method just has to be mining. So here we are. Okay. 1 hour starting now. Okay, so I just wanted to come in and explain this a little bit because unlike the previous episodes where mining is just running into a cave, I'm doing this one a little bit differently. And that's because, well, I'm not just running into a cave. So if you didn't know, emeralds basically exclusively, actually, not basically, exclusively spawn in mountainous and like windswept hill biomes. Used to be extreme hills. I'm sure I messed it up somewhere in the recording. But they exclusively spawn in mountains and windswept hills. So, and they're exposed too. So it's really easy just to get an elytra and just fly around in a circle, basically looking for them. I even had to go like 11,000 blocks away from where I normally record these because there was no windswept biome nearby. Which is fine. I mean, that's cool, but also it leads to you only getting other things that spawn exposed on windswept hills and mountains. So there's like copper and coal and emeralds, and that's really it. I did get lucky and find some ruined portals, and then I eventually, just because it was literally nothing else was happening, I allowed myself to go raid villages too. So there's a little bit of that. But other than that, that's all I really gotta say because, yeah, you're mining. So, there you go. Okay. At this moment, I have 5 minutes left, but I'm genuinely gonna use that to, like, fly to the next extreme hills that I can find. So I think I'm gonna call it 5 minutes early. I'm gonna break the rules a little bit. But I think I'm ready to head back and we can see, well, what we got. Okay, so here we are back home. And this is honestly a lot less than I thought we would get. I mean, the extra loot, which I did kind of have to tack on there because I didn't think about villages and ruined portals being along our way, but it was still there. This is pretty good. I'm happy with this. But the amount of ore we got was pretty bad. I mean, I could have gotten a lot more coal, iron, and copper, but the thing is, I tried to only mine around the emerald ore just so I wouldn't be mining coal and copper for an hour. I already did that one. Actually, I don't think I did the coal one yet, but I already did that. It's just, you know, This is pretty good too. I mean, joke aside with the furnaces, this is just a continuation of the other stuff. I didn't even know you can get bundles in villages chests, so yeah. I did have to go extremely far out though to find like a good enough chain of extreme hills to be able to actually fill up an hour, and even like I said, I couldn't fill up an hour. But let's go get this ore changed, and then yeah. Well, I really don't want to, but this coal, I'm gonna have like a mountain of coal. I'm gonna leave the coal till last. I'm gonna do everything else first. I'm stacking up here, and I will say though, I do really like the emerald ore texture. It's probably my favorite ore texture. That's not really important. I just wanted to think of it. Okay, here's all the loot summed up into just 2 chests. I did not get very lucky with those emeralds. I didn't even double what I had. Ugh, that was not very lucky. But other than that, got a lot of coal, got a lot of copper, and I also didn't get very lucky on the iron. I don't know what was up with my fortune pick. I don't know if I'm just like, yeah, it's fortune 3. Yeah, I don't know. I got very unlucky. The coal I did great on. The coal I like tripled. But, that's the last thing. I don't want it not. I don't want that one. I don't know. Either way, this is the first route. I guess I could shove these emeralds in here too. So that way we at least have a stack of emeralds. That's pretty fair. I was going to leave them separated, but I'm not going to do that. But here we are. This chest also just has a ton of loose stuff in it, I found, which is a benefit to this method. If you're looking for village and ruin portal loot, this is a good idea to do. But honestly, this method kind of sucked. It was boring, and also it just did not give a lot. Like, if you need a lot of coal, that could be an end game thing, but this method isn't really doable without an elytra. At least nearly as quick as I did. So, it's okay. If you need a lot of coal, you'll get that too. Because like I said, I skipped a lot of coal because I was mainly mining around emeralds. So if there was like coal or copper or iron near emeralds, I'd only get it then, not just in general. So you could totally get a lot more of these materials, but there's much better ways to get copper and much better ways to get iron. Then there's honestly better ways to get coal, but you might not want to do those better ways. They're a bit extreme. So this is a good option. But, that makes emeralds a side grade, not a main grade, which is what you want. I don't know if that term is right. You also get all this stuff too, which is nice, but, at end game, you'll be able to make all of this. So, lodestones are nice, but lodestones don't require netherite anymore, do they? So, either way, though, let's get right on to the second method. The second method may have been something you didn't think of, because technically it's not a 100% gain. You do have to give something to get emeralds in this case, but it is just trading with villagers. They are honestly the easiest and best source of emeralds in this game. I mean, there's other sources, but it doesn't get much easier than this. Running around, except for running between villagers, and, no spending your time building a farm that may or may not be worth it anymore. So, yeah, there you go. Trade with villagers. So we're back at base now, and here's the haul, which is a lot of emeralds. A double chest of emeralds, and then about another chest and 4 stacks of emeralds is really good. The one downside is that it's only emeralds. There's no, extra stuff like last time. But still, that is a lot of emeralds. So you can't really get much better than that. Except for maybe our third method. Let's get right into it. Yippee, yippee, yippee. So, the final method is right here. It is a raid farm. And I'm going to talk about this one a little bit before, because unlike the other ones, there's really not a lot to say during it. Or, at least there's no point in voicing over to explain it. But this one is, usually, this would have been the best method, hands down. But actually, I think it might be like the middle of the road method, being like, here you can get emeralds, but a lot of other stuff too. which is interesting. But I spent some time clearing out all these chests from when I AFK'd overnight. We will not be AFKing for nearly that long, so nothing should get full. But there's a lot you can get from this farm, of course, including emeralds. So, yeah, it's not as powerful as they used to be, which is a big downside, at least for me. I loved raid farms. Raid farms were always stupid to build. They're complicated enough where it's like you gotta know what you're doing a little bit, but they're not so insane that like you can't do it. Either way, I'm gonna set a timer for an hour, and we're gonna. Oh, I had some up here. I'm gonna set a timer for an hour, and I'm gonna get right into it. So yeah. If you don't know how these work, might as well show you. But the way you start this farm is very simple. I do want to record it. You just drink this bottle, F3 and T while you're drinking. That way you'll continuously drink it. And then you swing over here. And then you start your auto clicker, which you don't tab out for. Hopefully I still drink. I do. Okay, whatever. I'm wasting some bottles, but I have a ton. And then we'll just wait for the farm to start. And then there we go. Okay, so here is the final haul. It all fits within the 3 chests. Don't worry, it's not 3 full chests. I just kind of divvied it up by how I had it divided. So here's all the extra stuff. You get about a row of each witch drop, a row of sugar, a row of gunpowder, a row of glass bottles, a row of spider eyes. I don't have sticks actually being put through the farm, but I'd imagine it'd be about 2 or 3 rows of sticks just because you get more of those. And then over here's all the totems we got. 24 full shulker boxes and then almost 25, which I even double checked to make sure I didn't have any extra sitting in the farm from last time I used it. I did not. You get about 30 shulker boxes an hour. I actually got a bit on the low end, but that's okay. This is more than enough for the rest of the world in just this amount. So there we go. And then over here is the real meat and potatoes of the farm. This is all your redstone, all your emeralds, and all your glowstone. Now, I personally care about glowstone, so I included it up here, but a lot of you probably only care about, like, the redstone and, of course, the emeralds, which, by block, even in this amount, you got the most of per hour. The only thing that beats it is, actually, I don't even think it does. Let me check. So that's 920 emerald blocks. That is more than we got from the totems. So you do get the most out of emeralds. And as you may notice, I did the math over here just to see. We didn't actually get that many less emeralds from just straight trading, but we did get more here. So I will say, now that all 3 methods are done, the best I feel, even for the effort you have to put in, because the raid farm is quite a pain to build. But even with all that effort, this is easily the best. Not only do you get all these witch drops, and all these totems, you get the most emeralds out of any of the other methods. And I mean, you could probably min-max the villagers a little more, because what I always did was slept immediately when it was night, even though you could probably still go trade with one. So you could have gotten some more emeralds from the villagers, and you might even be able to get an equal amount if you had enough, and so forth and so on, but I didn't. But just a shulker box of totems enough, not counting all of this, plus all of this. Easily best method is the raid farm. But I will say, emeralds kind of threw a wrench in the plans. If that makes any sense. Because, like, normally, mining is the nice middle ground. The second method sacrifices emeralds for something else. And then the third method is, like, the insane, stupid farm that's not really worth it. Or it could be, but because it gives so much. But no, emeralds kind of threw that on its head. The first method is the leave off method, because we only got this many emeralds. We didn't get a lot. But we got a lot of other cool stuff that you may need, especially on Coal Front. And the second method was the all-in on the emeralds. You only get emeralds. It gives you a lot of emeralds. But it does require basically having so many other farms to make work, because you have to have a farm, you have to have an iron farm to trade with iron workers. You have to have pumpkin and melon farm to get all its worth out of farmers. You have to have a gold farm to use clerics, stuff like that. So this method probably actually required the most effort in the long run. And then you have the raid farm, which just gave a really nice balance of a lot of stuff. Because even though you did get the most emeralds, you get pretty much an equal amount of other stuff. Slightly better, but about the same glowstone, about the same redstone. Well, okay, maybe not the same glowstone. This is in blocks and all that. But you get what I mean, though. You get pretty much the same amount of stuff in all regards. Which is just interesting. I wasn't really expecting that. So, just to give the methods a number, this one is like legitimately a 2 out of 10. This is probably going to be my lowest rated method. You get some emeralds out of it, and there's other stuff with it, but oh my god, it is so not worth it for emerald mining. Fun? I'm going to give like a 4 out of 10, because it really is the middle method of the episode, but it requires so much pre-built infrastructure. It can't be a flat 5 out of 5. And then this, 8 out of 10. It's so worth it. It is so worth it just to build a raid farm anyway. But it's still a raid farm at the end of the day, so I can't give it any higher than an 8 out of 10, just because of the amount of effort you have to put in. But other than that, that will be it for today's episode. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more of these, or just go watch my other content. And